Hey dreamers, I'm Joe Pardo, and my guest today is making his dreams come true by surrounding himself with the right people. Which I always agree with. There's like a saying or something like that where you know, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with and all that. And the thing is as you know, as I grow and my circle grows and the people I hang out with, I mean, I still have people that I've known since I was little, and I still hang out with them a lot. But you know, that average of 5 is a tough thing for me. And I think as my guest today would agree, as you grow that, it's tough. It can be tough to see that, like the tree through the forest thing, but it really is still there for you. Dreamers, I'd like to welcome to the show, and I want to get this right because he even sent me an enunciation because he knew I was going to screw it up. Nitin Chhoda.
You nailed it. It's Chhoda, but you nailed it.
Oh, Chhoda. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. No, you nailed it.
I was reading what wasn't there.
No worries, Joe.
How we doing today?
I'm having fun. I'm living the dream.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I am as well. So why don't we get started by giving some background about yourself? Because I know we have a really awesome background story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, dreamers. My name is Nitin Chhoda. I'm a physical therapist. I live in New Jersey with my wife and my 2-year-old son.
Woo-hoo!
And, love it. I actually moved to the US in 2002 for the first time as an immigrant. And I can tell you that I am the American dream because I moved to the US with I had less than $500 in my in my pocket. That was pretty much all the money I had in the world at the time. And Joe, I've been through everything. I've been through, sleeping in my car, living in a studio apartment with several roommates, not having enough money to buy clothes in the winter, losing my job, going bankrupt. What else? What else did I have? And I've been through all of that. Delivering pizza, not so I could make extra money, but because that was the only way I could make money. Not knowing my fate, to fast forward now, running several multi-million-dollar businesses, employing 30 plus people all over the world, and pretty much doing what I want all day. I mean, I enjoy what I do, don't get me wrong, but I live life on my own terms today. And a lot of that has to do with 3 things, and none of those actually have to do with me because I look at myself as a hard worker, somewhat strategic, but I think the 3 key things are: 1, the fact that America affords you the kinds of opportunities that you won't get anywhere else in the world. That's just the way things are. Number 2, like you said, I surrounded myself with the right people. And number 3, I'm a hustler. When I saw an opportunity, I grabbed it with both hands. So I think so that's why I am where I am today.
Oh, I love it. And so, when you got here, well, what country did you immigrate from?
India, actually.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was it hard for you to get here in the first place?
Well, yes. So when I came to the US on what they call as a work visa. So, I came in to work for somebody. It wasn't hard in the sense that, I had someone who wanted to hire me and who filled out the paperwork. But, so that was the beginning. But the hard part was once I got here to sort of adjust to a different culture. I didn't know anybody. Remember, I came here all alone, and then all the struggles I went through. I think getting through that is what made me stronger, and what I think all entrepreneurs should be prepared for. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to run your own business, in my case, immigrate to a different country in the hopes of starting a new life, which is sort of even a little bit more complex. But as an entrepreneur, you need to be prepared for anything, Joe. In fact, if you think things are going to be easy, they're not. Welcome to the world of business. Things are always going to change. Things are going to adapt. You're going to face new challenges every day. In fact, if you don't face those challenges, it probably means you're not growing fast enough, and it probably means that you're not taking any initiative. So be prepared for, so I talked about some of my challenges when I was a nobody. Challenges when I have a successful business. We've been through everything, and fortunately, we continue to grow. So I would say, it doesn't matter really where you begin. It matters where you end up, and it matters the decisions you make along the way.
Yeah, I mean the decisions you're making along the way now are ones that are much more enjoyable, right? I mean, you still have probably things in your business that you don't like to do, I would imagine, but not every not every. The idea is to get to 20% or less of what you don't like to do versus the 80% of what you do like to do.
Correct.
And I always say, and I think you'll really resonate with this is that entrepreneurs, business owners in general, are professional problem solvers, right? Like that's really what our job title is. We wear a lot of different hats, but that's the key one, I believe.
Right. No, I agree. I agree 100%. And I think business throws things at you that you would not expect. And you need to be prepared for that because again, you're gonna encounter, so if you, let's put it this way, the kind of challenges you get when you're growing from 0 to 50, 100, 200,000 are completely different from the kind of challenges you'll get when you're trying to scale from 1 million to 5 million to 10 million or more. Most businesses don't even survive the first few years, let alone get to, the 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million mark. A very, I would say less than 1% of businesses get to that point. But the kind of challenges you face, let me put it this way, the challenges you face to go from 0 to, making a reasonable salary as a business owner, those challenges include, hey, having a good product, marketing, basic customer service. Obviously, you have to, do things that add value. Maybe having a couple of employees who support your vision. That's pretty much it. But to go from there to a truly scalable business, you need more than a good product. You need more than good systems. You need more than a couple of good employees. You need, you need to sort of, your role needs to evolve. If you're doing customer support for your business, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to get to 5 million, 10 million, 20 million in sales. I think when we're at the time that we are recording this interview, Jeff Bezos is now the richest man in the world, and Amazon is projected to be the first trillion-dollar company, TRI trillion. Honestly, I don't even know how many zeros there are in a trillion. I think there's 17, but I'm not sure.
No, it's because it's one more than the billions. So billions would be 9, so it'd be 10 for trillion.
Oh, the CSC. Right? I said I didn't know. I don't know.
10. Hold on, I'm going to Google this because I billion zero.
Maybe I got that confused because of our trade deficit or something, whatever. But I think our trade deficit's in the several trillions. But anyway, so I don't think my point was I don't think Jeff Bezos answers the phone when you call Amazon.
That was my point. Sure? Have you called Amazon lately? He might. I mean, he might. But realistically, it would behoove him to at least have his finger in it. And like those, this is this call may be recorded for a customer representative. Blah 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 blah. Those messages are really important. That even like the top person understand like what's going on. And that speaks to starting at the bottom and now you're here status of working through all of the different pieces of your business. And it's funny because like as a business consultant, like I really am on the board with the whole it's your business and you should know everything about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you know everything about all of the things that need to be known, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of unknowns that business owners run into. Sure. And they it's like just because I'm a bread maker or a baker, and I love making bread doesn't necessarily mean that I know numbers and the books and like all these other systems and processes to make that, like you were saying, like how do you get out of I'm the only customer support guy or
Correct.
Girl in the business. What I want to go back to is your story from the first steps you took when you were like, okay, I'm not going to be delivering pizzas anymore. Well, which actually, by the way, let me start over because did you come here on a work visa to deliver pizzas?
No. What actually happened? No. What actually happened was I came here on a work visa to work as a fitness trainer, and so my visa was me working as a fitness trainer. The problem was I lost my job. Because the fitness training center I was working for went out of business. And so while I was waiting to get all my paperwork in order, I had to find a way to make some money, and that's that. Because there was nothing else I could do. So that was that.
So okay, all right. So let's fast forward from there to go to what were some of the first steps you took when you decided that you were going to not be sleeping in your car delivering pizzas anymore.
I think because I worked as a personal trainer, I had a chance to work with a lot of wealthy people, successful people. I think successful is more important than wealthy, because a wealthy person isn't necessarily successful. And most people who are successful know how to handle their money. So I think that I learned when I was training these clients that their approach towards money, their approach towards life was quite different. They had what I call as a wealth mindset. And I think individuals who make money work for them, who attract money to them, who create the circumstances that cause money to move to them, who understand how money, who understand the flow of money, tend to have more money. I'll give you an example. I say this in all my interviews. Money doesn't have morality. What I mean by that is, if money was directly linked to morality, Joe, then all, school teachers would be rich, all pastors would be rich, librarians would be rich, drug dealers would be poor, people who sell porn would be poor, people, so I think that the really successful people understand that they need to create products, services, systems, companies that are inherently valuable, that make people want to, pay they understand the importance of value exchange. Whereas those who have what I call as a poverty mindset, a poor relationship with money, and I used to be that way. Let's be clear, I used to be that way. I still think my mother who lives with me is that way. Okay, so we all know people who are that way. Individuals who have a poverty consciousness are always, they don't focus on creating value to make money. They think, money is hard to get. They become physically uncomfortable with spending money. They sometimes get physically uncomfortable with making money. And they tend to think more about saving the pennies as opposed to making the hundreds and thousands of dollars. So the short answer to your question is, I was able to fortunately meet people who had the right relationship with money. And then I looked around and I said to myself, hey, my future is not going to be delivering pizzas, but my future is going to be starting a business and then, marketing that business and creating scale in what I do, so that I don't have a one-to-one relationship with my customers, but a one-to-many relationship with my customers.
So the original business that you started was what exactly?
I mean, we still that business is still a very important part of our overall portfolio. It was called Therapy. It is called therapynewsletter.com. It's an email newsletter marketing software for physical therapists who are too busy to write articles, write newsletters. So we write the content; it gets automatically sent to their patients, and they get to customize it with their information. And so it's like an eye contact or a Mailchimp, but specifically for physical therapists, with content already pre-created for them. So that was our first business back in '07 or '08, and we're still doing great today, and we continue to grow.
Oh wow, that is awesome. Have you bundled that for any other or like any other niches or industries? I mean, or is it just because that's your background that makes sense?
I haven't bundled it for other niches, but it's something that it's an opportunity that is in front of us. We just, got into other opportunities to provide more value to our existing audience with more software, other softwares to physical therapists. So instead of trying to go too wide, we tried to focus narrow and sort of go vertical, go deep, and provide more value to the existing audience.
Yeah, no, well, definitely. I just think because it's been so many years, I wasn't sure if at this point you were like, well, let's see if we can take this, change physical therapist to fill
Yeah.
in the blank doctor or fill in the blank, niche industry here, and boom, like you just hit
You
another
know,
home run.
Something that would make sense, and that is an opportunity we need to explore, to be honest. So it's something we just need to make time for.
Yeah. Oh, I know time is always always against us. Um,
You bet.
so so Nitin, how did your family take it first when you decided to immigrate to America?
So my mom was against it because she was like, oh, how's my son gonna manage, and a new place and this and that. My brother was supportive, and my father was also supportive. So I think overall they just trusted me to do the right thing, and I forged my own path. I was fortunate to have that kind of family, that was supportive as opposed to holding you back. Because sometimes, family can work both ways, right? It can be supportive, and some family members can, quite frankly, hold you back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a lot of times it's their own fear, right? That creeps into what they, their fear of what it's going to be for you, and the fear of maybe of their own personal failures that they have
Correct.
experienced in life, and the experience that they've had,
Exactly.
for better for worse. But
Look, and Andrew, Joe, someone who starts their own business is fundamentally looking to provide something different. And so that different is always associated with risk, with uncertainty. And then you're right. If someone is scared of risk and uncertainty, then business isn't for them. But I think as an entre as an as a dreamer, I like how you use the word dreamers. As a dreamer, you dream because you want a better future, right? And you imagine a better future. So others have to dream with you, or if they can't dream with you, then they cannot be a part of your dream.
I would agree. I would totally agree. Now, so your hobby that you do outside of running very successful businesses is playing with your 2-year-old son. I can relate to. I have a 1.5 year old daughter, and it's
It's the
a lot of
best age,
fun.
isn't it? It's amazing.
It is. It is. What's some of the things that you enjoy getting to do?
Reading to him, just playing with him, taking him swimming. Those are simple things that tend to give me a lot of personal satisfaction. But lately, Joe, he seems to have not only found my iPhone, but figured out how to use my iPhone, which now means that I'm chopped liver. Which now means that as long as he gets the iPhone, the world ceases to exist. If you're not there already, you'll get there.
Well, we are there. She finds it and she just starts swiping it and doing things and playing with the Elmo app, because we got one of
Right.
those Tickle Me Elmos that like connects the app. It's actually pretty neat how it interacts with the phone and the games and stuff. But
Yeah. The thing is, too much screen time is what's going on right now, and you know what? That's what I call a first world problem, Joe. It's not my. I know definitively that my son, and you probably know definitively that your daughter is not going to go through the kind of struggle that we went through. Every generation usually enjoys a higher quality of life and less struggle. But I honestly think that when they struggle, that's how they become tougher. If my son gets everything handed to him as he grows, if he doesn't have to worry about a single thing all the way through to, if he wants a car, he gets a car. If he wants to go to college, I pay for his college. If he gets everything he wants, I believe it's only going to hurt him in the long term. And so I think that kids should have to do chores, understand the value of money, sort of do a lot of things that put them in a position that they become more responsible. You see what I'm saying?
absolutely, I mean, I grew up in the sweat box of my family's warehouse, and
Hmm.
starting at the age of 6, sweeping floors and counting inventory and things of that nature. So I
Correct.
I do understand, and while I think at the time as a kid I felt maybe a little sour to the idea because I was like missing out on getting to just run around and be a kid, but uh, I it is what it is, and to a certain extent I did enjoy it because I did get paid a little bit of money to do those things, um and it opened my world up to a lot of other people's and experiences that I wouldn't have ever had the opportunity to otherwise. So I'd agree.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So I just want to remind everyone that they're listening to the Dreamers podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pardo, and I am having an awesome conversation with Nitin Chhoda. And I almost said dad. I don't...
You were great, Joe. I appreciate the opportunity. I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you saying
go
something?
Go ahead.
Joe, I was saying that I think everyone listening, if I had to take all of my life's experiences about business and sort of distill it into 30 seconds, I would say that if you want to be a business owner, be prepared for the highs and the lows. Surround yourself with people, whether it's family members who support you or business coaches that you have to pay to be around. Surround yourself with people who can always give you feedback to drive you to the next level, because that is so, so crucial. And number 3, always be prepared to change and adapt, because the business world is changing so, so rapidly. I mean, social media is one thing. The way you communicate with clients is another thing. I think consumer behavior is actually changing and evolving. I'll give you an example. One of my businesses is Total Activation, and we can talk about that real quick if you want to, Joe.
Yeah, definitely.
Total Activation is a philosophy that involves, healthy living. We call it the EPSSI principle: emotional, physical, social, spiritual, and intellectual wellness. But more importantly, Total Activation includes products, skincare, and nutritional supplements that work in synergy with each other. So basically, with the Total Activation product line, we get a lot of calls from our clients who are generally tend to be above the age of 40, 50, and they say, is this auto ship? If I buy one, so you're going to automatically start shipping to me. So for us, that was an aha moment, because, 5 years ago, nobody was thinking like that. Now the consumer has been conditioned to like, whoa, I ordered once and you're sending me stuff and keep billing my card. Consumer behavior changes. So we actually have to express, come out and say, we never auto ship. You buy as you need it, stuff like that. So I think it's important to learn and adapt. So again, long story short, always be prepared for anything. 1, 2, surround yourself with the right people and or business coaches. And 3, be prepared to adapt and evolve as the market changes, as technology changes. Very, very important,
Absolutely.
Email used to be such an awesome way to communicate, but now people are inundated with emails. So, you need to do different things to reach out to your audience,
Yeah. You definitely have to diversify there. And speaking of the lows, what's been the biggest roadblock for you in your business?
Finding the right people to fill the right positions. Because there's a lot of good people, but you need the right person doing the right thing in your company so that you can grow.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah, because it's not always things aren't always a great fit. It's just because they're good at one thing doesn't mean they're going to be great at another thing, and they have to enjoy it too. And that's one of those things where, like with this show, like I don't poo-poo the idea of people getting jobs or doing what it is to make it whatever they want, but I do poo-poo the idea of doing something that you hate, at least for an extended period of time. And so it's important that they have a confidence level in the job that you're providing with them, and that they want to show up and do it.
Yeah, I agree.
So what's one of the ways that you overcome that and work through to figure out like who's the best fit, like the best position player for your team?
I think our hiring process is very simple. It's also it's a good one. I mean, whenever we put out an ad, someone reaches out to us, we simply say, "Hey, send us an email telling us the last time you made someone smile." Boom, that's it. That's a job. That's a stage 1 of the job interview. 95% of the time, we get emails with people who just send us their resumes. So we do something with those emails which is radical, which is unprecedented. We just delete those emails because we actually want to get responses from individuals who A, understand our company culture because we describe our culture in the ad, B, prove to us that they can follow instructions, because, that's what we said. Send us an email telling us the last time you made someone smile. And C, who sort of display their own personality, who display their own quirkiness with us, because we know they'll be a good fit. That then becomes, I would say all my employees who are with me have answered that question before they ended up working with us. I don't have a single employee who sent us a resume and who we even spent 5 minutes with, because we don't care about resumes. We actually don't even care about references. We care about how well we get along. And then we make a judgment call based on whether you'll be a good fit for us. And I would say in most cases, that's worked out well for us.
That is awesome. I love that, and I think anybody listening who has that problem of like that fear of hiring people, that fear of, because like nobody wants to do that hiring process. And I always remind, especially some of my friends who are like, I put out all these resumes and no one's getting back to me. I'm like, dude, no one wants to go through the hiring process, not even HR people. Like no one wakes up and is like, I can't wait to do this job, like do this task, this specific thing, right? Nobody
Correct.
wants to do that, and that's why it takes so long. And especially if like a position doesn't actually exist yet. Those types of things end up falling onto the laps of people that, especially if it's a business owner and they don't have an HR person yet, like they don't want to go through resumes. They don't want to go through all that trouble. So I think having that message of like, what's really important to me and to our culture, that I could just ask a simple question. What is that simple question? And then ask it, and then be like, oh, well, if you can't even answer that, well, first off, you didn't follow instructions, so that's not going to be a good fit. And then what's the answer? And then that's a lot shorter for you to read, like probably 140 characters worth of text than like a whole resume. And who even knows if the resume is real? They could be saying they went or did anything or worked for anybody.
100%.
So I love that. Now, Nitin, this is the Dreamers podcast, so I always ask, what was your childhood dream growing up?
Honestly, to just run my own business and be my own boss. I didn't know what the business would be at the time, but I just wanted to be my own boss, Joe.
Well, I mean, and that you are definitely your own boss. I mean, it's funny. That phrase is always been funny to me, because being your own boss isn't really about being your own boss, because the cycle starts over and the customers become your boss, right? The market
Correct.
becomes your boss.
Correct.
There was like, oh, it must be nice to, be the boss or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, it is, but there's still like, if the customers down here, on the food chain, if they start going away or not, being receptive to what you're doing up top and throughout the whole totem pole, that's the thing. It's just, it's a cycle, and people don't always get that. They just think, oh, it must be nice to own your own business and be the boss. It's like, yes, but aside from all the people you got working under you, you still have the most important people on, like, all the way under you, which is the customers.
Correct.
The ground in which you build on.
That's true.
So
that's true. There's a lot of ongoing work, in a business.
Yeah, there is, and that's the thing is, a lot of times, a lot of business owners get stuck in working in their business rather than on. And we talked a little bit about that earlier of like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be running tech support forever and ever, because you're never going to be able to grow it past that. If nobody can be trained to do that thing, then maybe you just aren't charging enough to do that thing.
Correct.
To help you grow the business, because it's that specialized. But chances are that's probably not the case. Or at least, then you look at like tiered, like, hey, it's level 1, then there's level 2, and now you can become level 3, and it's like you're the highest, like, place is on fire, and I need, I got to get level 3 tech, which is the owner.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
So with that said, what do your dreams for the future look like?
Honestly, just building our existing businesses. Our number one focus right now is total activation. Joe, I'd like to, if any of your visitors visit our website at totalactivation.com, and if they're interested in any of our products, they can send us a message, mention your name, and we'll give them a discount code for any of our products. If they want any business advice, they can mention your name, ask for me, and my team will forward that message to me. And I'm sure, I promise I will get back. to your listeners and help them in any way I can. It may not be right away, but I will help. My goal honestly is to just grow the existing business, which is Total Activation at totalactivation.com, and at the same time just continue to help entrepreneurs grow as best as they can.
Well, that is awesome, and I do appreciate that, and I know that my listeners definitely appreciate that. So with that said, how else can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, just visit totalactivation.com, send us a message through the contact us page, and we'll be happy to help you with that.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So before we get going, is there any last thoughts you'd like to share?
As a business owner, make sure that you have some sort of financial reserve. You've got to have enough money for advertising, enough money to hire people who can help you grow. So, or, run your business on credit cards like I did in the very beginning. If you have good credit, you can actually get credit cards with 0% interest for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. But be good with money management. Because if you're not good with money management, you're going to look at the bank account and you're going to be like, oh, I can't pay my bills. And that's how businesses die. So make sure you're good with money management, because if you're good with it, you can sort of 1 + 1 + 1 = 5, with money. You can string together 3 credit cards or take bank loans if you have to. But make sure you've got enough cash flow to keep growing your business, because once the business starts to turn, once you find that sweet spot where you're now getting more customers, where you know that if you put in $1 in advertising, you get back $2 in revenue. Once you hit that sweet spot, that's how businesses grow from, 50,000 a year to 5 million, 10 million a year. So hang in there, have some financial reserves, be good with money management.
Money management is definitely a tough thing. It's what a lot of people struggle with, whether both rich and poor, right? It's pretty indiscriminate.
The problems are at a different magnitude, I guess, for those who have more money.
Hey, they say more money, more problems, and in my experience, that is definitely the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, well, thank you so much, Nitin, for taking the time to come here on the Dreamers podcast today. I really, really appreciate it.
Listen, my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity, Joe. And like I said, if any of your listeners want a discount on our products, they can send us a message through totalactivation.com. If any of them have some questions on business, entrepreneurship, they can message us and mention your name, and we'll make sure we take care of them.
Well, thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Dreamers podcast, you can leave a review. That would be awesome. But really, all I want you to do is just share it with a friend. That's it. Reach out to someone else that you think could really benefit from the information that Nitin's laid here for all of us, or any of the previous guests of over 300 episodes. Just share it with a friend. That's all that I ask. Reviews would be nice, but we have like over 115 of those or something like that. It's fine. I'm great. Reviews are wonderful, but really just take the time to share it with a friend. I really would appreciate it. Nitin, thank you again so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Joe. I hope we can do this again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. I would love to record in the near future and check up and see how everything's going for you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Dreamers Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Dreamers Podcast. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Dreamers Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the Dreamers Podcast, please send an email to j@jpar.co. This podcast is copyright 2014 by jpar.co.